We're going on an adventure to a land of heroes and mythical creatures. Snuggle up tight, close your eyes, and let's travel back to ancient Greece, to the beautiful island of Crete. Long, long ago, on this sunny island, lived a king named Minos. King Minos had a magnificent palace, but deep beneath it, he had built a giant, twisting maze called the labyrinth. And inside this labyrinth lived a fearsome creature, half man and half bull, known as a Minotaur. The Minotaur was very strong and had a mighty roar that could be heard for miles. Now, far across the sea, was the city of Athens. Every year, the people of Athens had to do something very sad. They had to send 7 brave young men and 7 brave young women to Crete. Why? Because they were sent into the labyrinth, never to be seen again. The people of Athens were heartbroken, but they didn't know how to stop it. One year, a young prince from Athens named Theseus saw how sad everyone was. Theseus was known for his bravery and his kind heart. He couldn't bear to see his people suffer, so he went to his father, the king of Athens, and said, "Father, this year I will go to Crete. I will be one of the 7, and I promise you, I will defeat the Minotaur and end this sadness forever." His father begged him not to go. He was afraid for his son, but Theseus was determined. He promised his father that if he was successful, his ship would return with white sails instead of the usual black ones, so his father would know he was safe from far away. With a heavy heart, the king agreed. So Theseus and the other young Athenians sailed across the sea to Crete. When they arrived, they were brought before King Minos. The king was surprised to see a prince among them, but he just laughed and ordered them to be prepared for the labyrinth. While they were waiting, King Minos' daughter, the kind and clever Princess Ariadne, saw Theseus. She was impressed by his courage and his determination to save his friends. She knew that even if he defeated the Minotaur, he would never find his way out of the confusing, winding maze. She couldn't let such a brave hero get lost forever. So, that night, Ariadne secretly met with Theseus. She gave him 2 things. First, a magical sword that was sharp enough to defeat any foe. And second, a simple ball of golden thread. "Theseus," she whispered, "this labyrinth is a puzzle no one has ever solved. As you go in, tie one end of the thread to the entrance. Unroll it as you walk. If you defeat the Minotaur, you can follow the thread all the way back to the start. It will be your guide." Theseus was amazed by her clever idea. He thanked Ariadne from the bottom of his heart. He knew that her gift was just as important as the sword. It wasn't just about being strong. It was about being smart too. The next day, the great stone door of the labyrinth was opened. The air that came out was damp and cold. One by one, the young Athenians were led inside. Theseus was the last to enter. Just as the door began to close, he remembered Ariadne's words. He quickly tied the end of the golden thread to the heavy doorpost. Holding the thread in one hand and the magic sword in the other, Theseus stepped into the darkness. The other Athenians were scared, huddling together, but Theseus spoke to them with confidence. "Stay here, near the entrance," he said. "I will go on alone. Wait for my return." He ventured deeper and deeper into the maze. The corridors twisted and turned. Sometimes they led to a dead end, and he had to turn back. Sometimes they split into 3 or 4 different paths. It was so confusing, but all the while, he let the golden thread unwind behind him, a shimmering line in the dim light. It gave him hope. As he went deeper, he started to hear a low rumbling sound. It grew louder and louder, until it became a mighty roar that shook the stone walls. Grr! Roar! Theseus knew he was getting close. His heart beat fast, but he wasn't just scared. He was ready. He remembered his promise to his father and his people. He turned a final corner and there it was. In a large open space in the center of the labyrinth stood the Minotaur. It was even bigger and more fearsome than the story said. It pawed the ground angrily, its eyes glowing in the dark. When it saw Theseus, it let out another deafening roar and charged. Theseus was quick. He jumped to the side, letting the Minotaur thunder past him. The creature was powerful, but not very nimble. Theseus remembered that being brave didn't mean rushing in without thinking. It meant using your wits. He dodged and weaved, tiring the big creature out. The Minotaur grew angrier and more frustrated. It charged again and again, but Theseus was always one step ahead. Finally, seeing his chance, Theseus stood his ground. With all his might, he used the magical sword. The fight was over. A great silence fell over the labyrinth. The Minotaur was defeated. For a moment, Theseus stood there, catching his breath. He had done it. But now came the second part of the challenge, getting out. The maze was silent and confusing. But then, he looked down at his hand. He was still holding the golden thread. A smile spread across his face. He began to follow the thread, winding it back into a ball as he went. He walked back through the twisting corridors, past the dead ends, and through the confusing junctions. The thread was his perfect guide, leading him safely back the way he came. Soon, he saw a glimmer of light. It was the entrance. The other Athenians cheered with joy and relief when they saw him. They couldn't believe he had done it. "Come on," Theseus said. "Our journey isn't over yet." Quietly, they all followed the thread out of the labyrinth and snuck back to their ship. Princess Ariadne was waiting for them. She decided to leave Crete with Theseus and his friends to start a new life away from her cruel father. They all climbed aboard the ship and silently sailed away from the island of Crete, leaving the dark labyrinth behind them forever. Theseus was so happy and excited that he forgot one very important thing: his promise to his father. He forgot to change the black sails to white ones. Back in Athens, the old king stood on the cliffs every single day, staring out at the sea, waiting for his son's return. One day, he saw a ship on the horizon. It was Theseus' ship, but as it got closer, his heart sank. He saw that the sails were black. Believing his beloved son was gone forever, the king was overcome with sadness and fell from the cliffs into the sea below. From that day on, that sea was named the Aegean Sea in honor of the king. When Theseus arrived, he learned the terrible news. He was a hero to his people, but his victory felt bittersweet because of his forgetfulness. He learned that even in our happiest moments, we must remember our promises and think of others. Theseus became a great and wise king of Athens. He never forgot the lessons he learned in the labyrinth, that true courage is a mix of strength and cleverness, that you should always keep your promises, and that even a simple ball of thread can be the key to overcoming the biggest challenges. And so, my little dreamer, as you drift off to sleep, remember the story of Theseus. Remember that no matter how big or scary a problem might seem, with a little bit of courage and a lot of clever thinking, you can find your way through any maze. Sweet dreams, Thanks for listening. Don't forget to join us again for another story. Good night.